From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning. Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. In today's recording direct from Santa Monica and live on air, we're going to have incredible great news about that recon, the Build Back Better Act, and why it may be likely to get a check out to you sooner with a different body of legislation. It's brand new. It's right here on today's recording. People have been asking about CR for stimulus. We'll be examining the latest details on that. Then, executive order. Is it possible? What about the Boost Act? What about other opportunities to send out a check separate from the recon that already has lots of checks and is still happening across the board? I'll examine all your incredible questions with executive order, the Boost Act, with the CR for stimulus, and more. It's coming up in today's recording, plus your questions about seats for stimulus. It's all brand new. But we'll be looking at that recon that passed in the House will be passed in the Senate. Those incredible checks in that recon that already has at least $15,000, upwards of $60,000 of checks, and repeats third stimulus. Then we have brand new comments about the recon getting it done that came in from Senator Bob Menendez just minutes ago. It deals with the equation that we've been talking over recent days of Ron Klain now spreading to Bernie Sanders, and not in a good way. I'll explain what's at issue. It's a big recording. We have a lot going on. I'm excited you're here because guess what? It's mornings. We're live on air. And the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing, and the progressives, they're steaming over in too much frothiness. Those incredible details heat up right now, right here, as Mornings LA gets underway, direct and live from Santa Monica, California, with a breaking news report starting right now. Hey, good morning, everybody. You are doing well. Well, the House of Representatives passed that incredible recon, the Build Back Better Act, in the month of November. It is now in the Senate, and the Senate changes will be robust. They'll add additional checks, including an MSC. Joe Biden wants these checks to go out right now. He is ready to send the checks out to you. The checks in this recon, the Build Back Better Act, start at $15,000 but grow up to $60,000. But though the Senate changes will come in there, and third stimulus was repeated under fourth stimulus. So there's $45,000 of that. We have student loan debt forgiveness and fifth stimulus heating up in this recording as well. But you're going to see new breaking details today about the likelihood of getting out a check or checks separate from the recon, getting it out with a different body of legislation. The opportunities that are there and the opportunities that are not there. We're going to analyze CR for stimulus. We're going to analyze executive order. We're going to analyze the Boost Act, because a lot of people have been asking about that as well. And we're going to be analyzing seats for stimulus. But first, I want you to browse Incredible Family, so go under this video right now and subscribe. You're watching a live edition of the #3 most watched financial news channel in America, LALATE, live and direct from Santa Monica, California. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member because we have a lot of breaking news today. I want you to subscribe and become a member and sign for those LALATE alerts, a link to which is under the video's description. You'll get that incredible newsletter that comes out Monday through Friday if you're a member of this channel. And with that, we're going to go over the incredible recon, the Build Back Better Act, the social spending plan, whatever you call it, that has 3 clusters of checks, 3 add-ons, before we go over the likelihood of taking one of those checks out and sending it separately as a different body of legislation. The recon, Build Back Better Act, $15,000 of checks, 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. Get your pen and paper ready. We're going to analyze each of those clusters starting right now. Hazard pay got in there for my essential workers. 1 more year, established under the earned income tax credit, but broadened under third stimulus. You can learn about it at irs.gov. It's for my essential workers. They want to do 1 more year of it under fourth stimulus. $4,000 of elder care, $4,000 of care for young children, $550 Pell Grant recipient checks. They got in there the home repairs, $12,500 for purchase of a new electric vehicle. They also got in there care for young children. And that is your first of 3 clusters of checks. Wow, it's incredible. Now, the first add-on of checks comes from here in Southern California. It came from the illustrious Maxine Waters. She got it in there on the House side. It's part of the bill, but it's a little bit less than $25,000. What is it? It is money for the purchase of your first home. It's incredible. Money given from the federal government to the seller in your name at the time of escrow for the purchase of your first home. Just incredible. Let's turn to that second cluster of checks, home repairs and paid leave. How much money is this? It's a lot of money, folks. Paid leave is if you have to stay home from work due to sickness or illness. How much does it pay? A lot. It pays $17,000 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. If you make $35,000 annual salary, it's $800 a week. If you make $15,000 annual salary, it's $400 a week. How many weeks? 4 to 6 weeks per year. Yeah, that is $5,000 to $6,000. W-2, 1099, you all qualify. So if you are an Uber Lyft driver, you get sick, you have to stay home, you get this payment as well. If you do not work, but you're living with your son or daughter, they get the check if they have to take you to the doctor's office once a week, because it's if you have to stay home due to your illness or someone else's illness in the household. The second add-on of checks is incredible. It came from Bob Casey, $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Wow, it got in there. Let's turn to that third cluster of checks. This is where we find true deliciousness. In that third cluster, a lot of money. We have money for the free internet, money for the farmers, money for the independent contractors, then free school meals for all checks, and the seniors. Covered benefits, House, and covered benefits proposed to be added on the Senate side. So on the House side, they got in there the Medicaid gap fix and the hearing. But on the Senate side, they vowed to add in there dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, which is par for the course of when we're talking about the third add-on of checks, because that would also be a Senate add-on, and it's called MSC. What is it? How do you get it? What is the eligibility? How much money is it? When would it happen? And is there an opportunity to get this money separate from the Build Back Better Act recon? Oh boy, it's brand new, it's live, and it's only on LALATE coming up in this recording. First, let's go over what is an MSC. The recon, the Build Back Better Act, has many checks in there. Many, multiple, M, lots of them, L. There's lots of checks in that recon, upwards of 50 to 6,000. The reason why I use the acronym MSC is to differentiate, not to get confused. This is one where it's sent out from the IRS, multiple IRS stimulus checks or monthly IRS stimulus checks. So who would get it? The legislators have told tens of thousands of viewers this channel since spring of last year that if you got a third stimulus check, you would get a fourth, and the eligibility would be the same. Single individuals, $75,000 or less annual income, you would get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less annual income, you would get it. Double it. Family of 4, quadruple it. You get it. If you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, you would get it as well. Adult dependents would also get it. Now let's go over some of the questions you've been asking. Is it taxable? No, it's not income. Is it state by state? No, it is nationwide. It's out from the federal government. How about direct deposit? Someone sent me all these questions last night, very nice viewer, asking about direct deposit. It would go off of how you file that tax return most recently. So if you use direct deposit, that's how IRS pays you based upon your tax return. That's how they pay you on this as well. And then we queue up the question of advocacy and the how. The how. How do they get this done? Let's go over the nuances of that MSC starting right now. The recon, the Build Back Better Act, is a body of legislation that goes by reconciliation that was passed in the House in November. Now that it's in the Senate, the modification happens thereafter. Now let's understand. The recon has tons of pages, and stay with me later in this video. I'm going to go over all these incredible checks. That recon, those checks from 2011 are staying in there. The senators would never remove the checks, just add to them. But the event of adding checks has not happened yet. That would happen during a Senate subcommittee. That Senate subcommittee would then finish what would become the Senate bill. We don't have a Senate bill yet. Then send it to the Senate floor for a vote. Pass it on the Senate floor, then the 2-day vote-a-rama when they can add additional sums of money across the board. That is how they do it. Now, there are other opportunities to get the provisions of the recon sent out from you separate than the Build Back Better Act. And what are they? Later in this video, we're going to go over CR for stimulus, the opportunity to take a stimulus check out of the recon or in addition to the recon and send it out separately in a different body of legislation. We're going to examine the opportunity of an executive order. Can the president do a stimulus check by executive order? A lot of people are asking me on social media, can you make a video about it? This is that video. Then, can we do it via the Boost Act? A lot of people have been tweeting or in the live chat saying Boost Act and CR for stimulus. Does the Boost Act work? I'll examine the details. What about C for stimulus? People have been asking about that. I had a comment about it yesterday. I'm going to modify my answer because there's another opportunity for seats for stimulus. But first, before we get to that, I want to go over the importance of advocacy for money in this recon. It's important to advocate because guess what? We don't have a Senate bill, and they need to be reminded, those senators, weekly, that you still need the money. They may have heard from you advocating in the month of September, but they don't know you need the money still unless you pick up the phone and advocate. And advocacy involves telling your story, why you need it. Do not let anyone devalue your contribution because this channel has been the single biggest place for advocacy in the United States for money in the recon, bigger than anywhere else in the United States. You have delivered 9 million phone calls to senators, dwarfing the American petition, which is at a mere 3,000, where people take 1 minute, or actually 1 second, to sign a name to something someone else wrote. You're spending 20 minutes on the phone speaking to those representatives, telling your story. So what you want to do is call once a week and tell that staffer that you've now commiserated with, you remember his or her name, why you still need the money. Remind them weekly because your narrative may be different. You may have gotten sick in the last week. You may have lost your job in the last week. Tell them why you need the money. They need to hear from you on a regular basis so that they go back and still add the provisions in there. Casey, Coons, Warren, Wyden, Sanders, and Schumer. Advocate for whatever provision you want in this recon and call them up. Casey, Coons, Warren, Wyden, Sanders, and Schumer. In the second half of this video, we have a lot coming up. We're going to go over CR for stimulus, the opportunity to get a stimulus check out to you in a different body of legislation. We'll examine the opportunity or lack of opportunity for an executive order stimulus check. People have been asking me to address that question. I'll be addressing in today's recording. Then we'll be looking at the Boost Act. Does it boost you or not boost you? And then also the incredible question about seats for stimulus. It's a big recording. We have a lot coming up. Plus, we'll be looking at the big money, all of these checks in this recon, one at a time. We'll be looking at how to get thousands of dollars across the board right this week. It's a big recording, and it's a big live LALATE direct from Santa Monica. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. But first, need help? Here's a little bit about the community page. See you back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now. As the audience coughs up again. In the second half of this video, we will go over all the incredible provisions of this recon and one at a time how they come to fruition. We'll go to the Senate change, and then the big Senate change will be coming to this incredible recon. The program that will add more checks, this incredible recon on top of the existing $15,000. The big addition of third stimulus back into fourth stimulus, they'll add $45,000 of checks. Wow, the audio cleared up. How is that happening? That was really strange. Student loan debt forgiveness, the latest details on that, plus fifth stimulus, what you need to know. But we have new details you've never heard before in this recording about executive order, about the opportunity for the Boost Act, about the opportunity to put checks somewhere else, and why is Bernie Sanders losing it for focus on the recon. It's a big, bold, beautiful morning's LALATE. It's live on air, and I'm excited you're here. And with that, I want you to subscribe. You're watching LALATE, the #3 most watched financial news channel in America, live in the morning like right now, and then taped in the afternoon. We have a whole slate of shows coming up today. Next up is noontime, and then we go into afternoon's LALATE. Like the video and consider becoming a member of Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. And with that, let's go into the nuances and some of the great, incredible questions you've been asking about how to get recon money to your wallet without the recon. Wow, it all heats up right here, right now, and we're going to go over them right now. So, Build Back Better Act, a body of legislation passed in the House, now in the Senate, also called the social spending bill, also called spending bill, also called the fourth stimulus. But can they get a check to you with another mechanism? They can. I'm going to go over the first of those possible mechanisms right now, CR for stimulus. To understand CR for stimulus, we need to go back to spring of 2020. We had just ended first stimulus under the Trump administration, and we were waiting for the next body of legislation to come to fruition. It was called second stimulus. The negotiators, Nancy Pelosi on behalf of the Democrats, Steve Mnuchin on behalf of the Republicans, then Treasury Secretary. The negotiations started in spring, continued in fall, then continued in winter. And by December 2020, I had had enough. I saw a reoccurring theme. 1, negotiations, but no finality. 2, no deadline. 3, a wish to send out the money, but not sending out the money. So I said, is there another alternative than doing this package, this second stimulus package? And I looked, and I found something. I found something that made sense in my mind. Every few months, the federal government has to do a budget bill to fund the federal government. It's called often the continuing resolution. There's a lot of other names for it. The money's to fund the federal government, like the operation of the national parks, the federal buildings. The thing I liked about this was that it had a deadline. They often miss the date by a day or 2 days, but they can't miss it by a week or 3 months because the federal government shuts down and we default, and they never want that to happen. Neither Republicans nor Democrats. It has a hard, fast deadline, so you can't miss it. So with that, I had the idea. Put a stimulus check in a continuing resolution. Before I went on air to deliver the message exclusively on this channel, I said to myself, I know exactly what the negative reaction will be to this. I'm prepared with my response. I think I know what the purple power will be, but I'm prepared with the response to that as well. And with that, I went on air. December 2020, I said, you know what? We've waited long enough. It's time for a CR for stimulus. And viewers asked me, what does that mean? I said, hashtag C like Charles, R like Robert, the number 4 stimulus all together. Go on social media and tag your elected officials and advocate for it. If you're on the live chat right now, write it out so other viewers see it as well. I said the concept is very simple. Put a stimulus check in a continuing resolution that is due by December 2020. It was at that time, December 2020. Put a stimulus check in there, and they got to do the continuing resolution. The country will default. They're not going to miss that deadline. They'll follow that deadline. They'll get it done. And if they get it done, the check will go out. Viewers love the idea. And we pushed. And immediately, the naysayers were ready. And I was ready for the naysayers. Their reaction? LALATE, that's ridiculous. It's a continuing resolution bill. It's to fund the federal government. It funds the federal government. It's money to the government. It's not money to the American people. My reaction was ready, and it was the following. You're right. You're exactly right. But who cares? There is every single year since the beginning of time legislation passed by the U.S. Congress where the provisions in there that send money out to something that has nothing to do with the bill. We saw it during the COVID days, early COVID days. Bills for COVID relief would actually include checks for foreign militaries of foreign countries. COVID relief was actually to build a new FBI building. COVID relief was actually money to fund the Department of Trademark and Copyright, not for copyrights for COVID. I said they've been sending out money for checks that have nothing to do with COVID. Why not send out a check to us that does concern COVID? And with that, we pushed. You pushed. Hashtag CR for stimulus. And one morning we woke up and we were told Congress has now agreed to put stimulus into a CR. We almost celebrated until we looked carefully and realized they wanted to put unemployment stimulus in the continuing resolution. Good, but not what we're asking for. We're asking for a stimulus check. So we pushed back and we pushed, and finally they heard us. They put a stimulus check in the continuing resolution. Something that doesn't belong in there, something that I created. I came up with the idea, and you as the Purple Power Caucus pushed and got them to hear, and they did it. The $600 stimulus check that Americans got in December 2020 was my creation when I said put it into continuing resolution. It was not the second stimulus package. The second stimulus package never happened. It was a check put into the continuing resolution. The resolution was passed and became a law in December, and the check went out thereafter. So a week ago today, I said to viewers in the live chat, just like right now, do you like the idea of doing it again? They said, oh, I haven't thought about that. And I said, let me tell you why I like the idea. It looks exactly like 2020. 2020, we first heard about second stimulus in the spring of 2020. But by December, it was nearly 11 months. It still was not law. Fourth stimulus, I've been recording fourth stimulus since about February 2021. It is now past 11 months. Number two, second stimulus was two people negotiating, Steve and Nancy. Second and fourth stimulus, Joe and Joe negotiating. Is fourth stimulus at the edge of the finish line and over the finish line? No. Was second stimulus over the finish line? It was not. It looks exactly right. And with that, we've been pushing. We've been pushing hard and fast for inclusion of a stimulus check into an upcoming February 2022 continuing resolution with a very simple message. Send out one check in that continuing resolution that has a deadline, because we've had your back waiting patiently for fourth stimulus recon of the Build Back Better Act. It's not done yet. It ain't going to be done in the next 20 minutes. So send out that check to the American people that need it in the continuing resolution that has a deadline just a few weeks away in February 2022. You can still do the fourth stimulus recon in the Build Back Better Act, but this check can go out right now. And viewers have liked the idea. Now, in recent hours and in recent days, people sent me messages on Twitter and Facebook, private messages as well, asking, can you record about this? Can you address this issue? And I'm going to go over each of them right now for the first time ever on LALATE. I like that people are thinking out of the box on this channel. They're thinking of other ways to take checks out of the recon, the Build Back Better Act, and put it somewhere else. I'm going to address each of them right now. First, executive order. Can Joseph Biden send out a wad of cash to you as a stimulus check today? He absolutely categorically cannot go to the Department of Treasury, open the door, grab some cash, and mail it to you. That is against the law. No matter how many times someone's on Twitter, no matter how many times someone wants to make a video about it, it's absolutely against the law for the President of the United States to go to the Department of Treasury, take money out of that bank of the U.S. government, the Department of Treasury, take money out of it and mail it to you. He's not allowed to under Congress. Now, there are other things he can do that has a better effect on you that he can do. He can reallocate existing funds for prior approved programs where the funds are not in the Department of Treasury and the funds are no longer needed because the program has run out. We talked about a lot in 2020 on this channel. In 2020, we talked about $550 billion of SBA money approved under first and second stimulus, that the programs had ended, but the money was still sitting there. So they didn't need the money anymore. The money was not in Treasury, it was in SBA. It had been taken out of Treasury, put in SBA. For those programs, the programs are over. Can the president reallocate the money to something else if the program is no longer in fact? Absolutely. This became one of the big messages of this channel, and ultimately, in my opinion, why Donald Trump did not get reelected. He had the opportunity to reallocate the money from SBA as an executive order stimulus check. He didn't. Had he done it, I think it would have made the big difference in the campaign at that time. Number one. Number two, can the president change eligibility, change percentages, change benchmarks that impact your wallet? Absolutely. And this is really, really great stuff. And this is what Joe Biden could do today. Has done some of it, but needs to do more of it. SNAP benefits in October of last year went up 25%. Why? Congress? No. The president wrote a message to the administrating agency. In this case, I think it was Social Security Administration, SNAP, Department of Agriculture, saying, you know what? I want you to raise benefits. You're not paying enough for SNAP. Wrote it to them as a recommendation. It's not even an executive order. I think it's like a recommendation. Wrote it to them, and they said, okay, going forward, it's going to be 25% more. Done. That's cash to you. He's not sending the physical. He's not going to the Department of Treasury, taking the money out of there as in his hands and throwing it in the mail. He's just telling the agency that already has the funds, in this case, Department of Agriculture, spend more money on the American people. Where else can you do this right today? That's brand new, and you're hearing it first on this channel. Fifth stimulus. I got to tell you, I look at fifth stimulus. I have a real problem seeing what he cannot do by executive order or by executive decree. It's not even sometimes even executive order. Nearly everything in fifth stimulus he could do right today. First, can he tell the Social Security Administration, I don't like COLA at 5.9% as the raise up of people's benefits like Social Security checks every month. Switch it to inflation and use inflation starting today. And inflation, of course, is 7.5% right now. So 7.5% is more than 5.9%. Yeah, he does not need an act of Congress to change the benchmark from COLA to inflation. And overnight, you would get 2% more on your checks in the mail. It's that quickly. It's that overnight. Number two, could he remove the asset cap, the income cap, the marriage penalty? Yes, he could do all of this stimulus by executive order right now. So this is where things work. All right, now let's turn to the Boost Act. People have been talking about in the live chat saying CR for stimulus plus boost plus for CR for stimulus. So I had to take some time to research this, and let me give you my analysis of the situation. The Boost Act, not going to work. Absolutely 100% not going to work. Now, what's at issue is, what is the Boost Act? You don't even know it. You need to know what the Boost Act is. It is a Democrat-created proposed bill, has never passed. And guess what? If it's a Democrat proposed bill to send out stimulus to the American people, it ain't going to become law ever, because you don't have Republican votes, and Republicans are not going to send out stimulus to you. So you have to do it by recon. So if you're a listener to this channel, you should really, at this point, understand the microcosm of how things get passed. You can't do Boost Act. You can't do Boost Act because Boost Act requires a recon, and they can't get recons even done for Build Back Better Act. So why would you go from one recon to another recon? You can't do the Boost Act by itself because it's not a recon. It's not going to work. End of discussion for that. Seats for stimulus. A lot of people have been asking about seats for stimulus. I had an opinion about this yesterday. I'm going to change my opinion right now. So seats for stimulus was also created by this channel December 2020 during the presidential campaigns. The message was very clear. Send out our stimulus or we're taking away your seat from Congress. We're going to vote for the other candidate for your congressional seat. Yesterday I said it doesn't work in a two-party system. Why? Because the Democrats want to give you stimulus and the Republicans don't. So what are you going to say to the you're going to say to the Democrats, I'm going to take your seat so I can give it to a Republican who's not going to give me stimulus? That don't work. That the alternative to taking a Democrat seat is a person who's not going to give you stimulus. Well, I have a new message today. A lot of people would ask me, LALATE, you need to run for president. LALATE, you should be president. LALATE, you need to run for president. You'll get things done. Well, here's an example of how we can get things done. If there was a third party system, a third political party, the Purple Power Caucus, where people were running for Senate seats on the Purple Power platform and agenda in states across the country, then you could say to the candidates in West Virginia that are Democrat, give us our stimulus or we're taking your seat with a Purple Power Caucus member running against you that will give you the money. Remember, the Republican candidate won't give you the money. The Democrat candidate maybe will or won't, but the Purple Power Caucus candidate would. So in a third-party system, it works. Two-party system, it doesn't. And with that, I told you I have a lot to go over today, and one of the things I have to go over is Bernie Sanders. And this is brand new on Mornings LA Live on Air. It is brand new, and it's an extension of what we're talking about with Ron Klain 2 days ago. And boy, it is very, very strange. Now, let me preface this by saying, you know what my opinions are about Bernie Sanders. I think he's a wonderful human being, a wonderful elected official. I think he does great things for the American people, but something is going wrong here, and it needs to stop. It was 1 week ago that the president's spokesperson, Andrew Bates, said that the president will get the recon done, the Build Back Better Act, and the vote will happen shortly. Great. In that same quote, Andrew Bates said that the tone will be turned down. And at the time, I said that means we're going to have a less of senators going after senators in the press. I guess no one heard that press conference because guess what? It's gotten really bad. It was 2 days ago. You saw me on Twitter, and yesterday you saw me on air, where I said Bernie Sanders did something which is so wrong that I hope it doesn't continue. And guess what? It's now gotten worse. Let me explain what's at issue. You have Democrats, and you have two groups of Democrats, one side and the other side. One side are called the progressive Democrats, like Bernie Sanders, like Pramila Jayapal. The other side are the moderate Democrats. Let me make very clear. In the Build Back Better Act, there is no provision that a moderate Democrat wants that hurts a progressive Democrat. There's no provision that a progressive Democrat wants that hurts a moderate Democrat. There is no provision from either side that hurts the other side. They're all good provisions. Okay, so that's the start up. Now, so what did Bernie Sanders do about 48 hours ago? Something that makes no sense. He knows that in November of 2021, Nancy Pelosi was having problems getting the recon passed in the House. And the moderate Democrats wanted one provision to be added, the SALT cap. It's a provision that helps moderate Democrats, but doesn't hurt progressive Democrats. I'll go over in a second what it is. And she put it in there to get the moderate Democrats to pass the recon in the House. Had she not done that, the moderate Democrat, the recon would never pass the House. It passed, and now it's in the Senate. So what did Bernie Sanders say 48 hours ago? He said that provision, the SALT cap, was removed this week. Okay, that's the first thing he said. It was removed. It was not removed. Number two, he said negotiations unraveled and it was removed. There was no negotiations. Why would he deliver that fake news about it? But it gets actually worse than that. What he started to do was go after the provision. Why? Why is he going after the provision that doesn't hurt the progressive provisions of the recon? And is not itself a bad provision at all. It's a great provision. I don't know. I don't know. In doing that, guess what he does? He's going after the moderate Democrats for a feud that should never even exist. What does he say? Now, this is where it gets worse. He says the SALT cap is a provision that rewards wealthy Americans and hurts working American citizens. It doesn't hurt anyone, first of all. It's a provision. And number two, it doesn't help rich people. What is the SALT cap? It allows you to deduct more than state and local taxes on the federal tax return than you currently can. Under the Trump administration, they limited to $10,000 of what you can deduct in state and local taxes on the federal tax return. Forced Stimulus Recon said, you know what? There's certain states like New York, New Jersey, and California where the tax rate is so high, we want to be able to deduct more than $10,000. So they raised it to $72,500. Now let's do the math really quickly. I don't want to do a lot of math in this video, but let's do the math very quickly. Married couple, make $150,000 or less. You may pay $11,000, $12,000 of state and local taxes and want to deduct it. $150,000 for a married couple is not rich people. That's working class citizens. And for him to go after them and a provision that helps them makes no sense. But he's not intending to go after them. He's intending to go after the moderate Democrats. So I told you there was a problem with this. And the problem was Bernie Sanders is picking fights with moderate Democrats for reasons he shouldn't be. And it's getting worse today. Senator Bob Menendez is now fuming mad at Bernie Sanders by saying, hey, Bernie, this is a good provision. This ain't a provision that hurts your stuff. It helps people, and it helps the citizens of my state. Why are you doing this? Guess what state Bob Menendez is from? New Jersey. New Jersey, New York, California. We have higher taxes, just the way it is. And he said that Bernie Sanders is being a hypocrite. See how it's imploding? See how it's getting worse? It's unraveling. It's escalating. Menendez, who I feature on this channel, he's a great guy. He does a lot of stuff progressive. Remember that video with, it was a sirloin video. Remember that video where it was Chuck Schumer, Liz Warren, who are progressives, and Bob Menendez talking about student loan debt forgiveness in a room with no furniture and no lights. Remember that video? Yeah, that's Bob Menendez. So he says, less than 3 months ago, Bernie Sanders stood next to me, Bob Menendez, and said Donald Trump's $10,000 SALT cap was a regressive and unfair proposal. And this Congress must change that. Fast forward to 2022, and this is what I'm hearing from Bernie Sanders. Yeah. So now he's calling Bernie Sanders a hypocrite. Oh, this is not looking good. This is not looking good. Now, if that was all I had to report to you about the situation, it would be one thing, but it's getting worse. So Bernie Sanders, guess what he did? Also, he went on CNN. And then he said, we need to start removing Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin off of some committees. Okay, it's just escalating. He says they're trying to make it harder for people to vote. What bothers me very hard is that they're undermining our effort. That's exactly what Arizona Democrats are doing. Okay. Can it get worse than that? It actually does get worse from that. So Bernie Sanders, in one paragraph, you know how I talk. I talk positive, but I also don't feed into negativity. Bernie Sanders feeds into negativity and has 4 negatives in one sentence. He says, what bothers me is that the Republicans are laughing at us Democrats all the way to Election Day. Wow, that's a lot in one sentence. He's basically saying that us Democrats have not taken care of you and we're going to be thrown out of office. How negative can you be? I mean, that's about as negative as you could be. He says more. He says, we've allowed the Republicans to get away with murder. They have not voted on anything. And I think it's widespread understanding that we Democrats have not done anything for the last 6 months and have failed from a policy standpoint. He's writing the epitaph. I mean, it's about as negative as he can be. He says, throw us out of office. We haven't helped you. We're no good. And people are laughing at us. We have failed politically. We need to change course. We need to change this and change that. Boy, if there was one thing we learned from this woman since day one of this channel is what Sanders said is correct, but you don't say it publicly. You take it into a private caucus with Chuck Schumer and Bob Menendez and all your senators and say, you know what, I don't think I like the way we're doing things. You keep it privately, you change course, you go over the decisions, and you make those changes. Here, Bernie Sanders is literally burning fire every moment he can under moderate Democrats' feet. And guess what? The recon needs every single moderate Democrat's vote to pass. And doing this ain't going to help anyone. So there you go. Now let's go over some of those provisions in the incredible recon that will get passed once Bernie settles down. Those provisions have a lot of money. And we already went over the SALT cap, but let's go over the big other provisions in there. They got cheaper prescription medication, growing from 20 medications a day 1 to 30 medications by the year 2028, Medicare Part B, Medicare Part D. They got $40 billion of free job training in there. They got in there the Pell Grant, $550 check from college students. They got in there a lot of provisions for third was extended for one more year, like the household tax credit, like hazard pay for my essential workers, the earned income tax credit, like the care for the young children, $4,000. But what are some of the other great provisions in there? $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle and the housing provisions across the board. Throughout the videos today, you're going to see me talking a lot about those housing provisions. I don't want to run over them too much in this recording, but I want you to know the following. Rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more, you can get another round today. Another round is thousands of dollars. And that round I want you to get from now to May as the focal points. Can't go to May, bring it to April. Thousands of dollars, it's money available right now. It is rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and food. You get it from 6 places. You lean on the nonprofits. They're all featured in the newsletter. You can get that money right now. It's thousands of dollars. As one viewer sent me a beautiful message overnight, said, you know what, I got more money. Love it. Remember, cash is king. We don't care what the cash is called so long as it's cash. Which, with that, I want to go back to the Boost Act for just a second. The Boost Act is not cash. The Boost Act is you file a tax return and then you'll get a refund or credit, which is not a front-end check. I do cover in front-end checks and back-end checks in the recon. Some are back-end, some are front-end. But to advocate just for the Boost Act is not what you really want because it's not front-end checks. It's all back-end tax credits. Now, let's go over some of the all other provisions of this recon. They got in there the hearing, and then they vowed to add dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55. And they already got in there the Medicaid gap fix, providing years of subsidized private insurance to uninsured people in those Republican holdout states. What is next on the horizon, and what should we be looking at? There is a lot at issue. We have Vladimir Putin, Federal Reserve, your inflation, your money, and also we have the big question mark of what's going on in New York. Yeah, it's coming up right now. So Vladimir Putin and his threat as leader of Russia to invade Ukraine is still there. It ain't going away, and it stays red hot day in, day out. I first reported this over a week ago. As it stays around, it's causing financial disruption. The financial markets will go down. It will cause inflation and other issues. It's a very serious threat, and I will update you throughout the day and throughout the weekend and throughout next week when the threat gets worse. It doesn't look like it's getting less at the moment. If it gets less, good. Next. Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, announced this last week that the interest rate spike that everyone was wondering about, the first one, will come in March of 2022. So far, not causing much financial disruption because people were expecting it. But the other thing that really will cause financial disruption is that inflation. Omicron's caused inflation is really out of control. And Wall Street, the Federal Reserve, has not been good in predicting inflation. Spring of last year, I predicted inflation would be 8% in December 2021. Federal Reserve had 1, 2%. Wall Street had 2, 3%. I had it at 8. It came in 7.5%. Where's inflation right now? You can do the analysis. If you're at the market, you go every day or every week and buy the same milk or the same egg or the same bread, same brand, same quantity, same market. Look at the price point. If it's going up 10 cents every week or 10 cents every 2 weeks, make a note of it. That is the inflation kicking in. So let's say it's gone from $3 to $3.30 in the month of January. That's 10% right there. Doesn't mean it's 10% inflation for the nation, but it shows you the inflation is going higher than it was the month before. The other way to gauge inflation as a citizen is just to ask some of the staff, how many people are out from Omicron? How many people are out sick from Omicron? If they're saying 20, 30%, 40% every single week this month, then that's more inflation across the board. Finally, what's going on in New York? New York, as though we didn't have enough to deal with, is now going after crypto. With a series of new articles today that signals that New York State may try to ban crypto mining in the state of New York. Like we need to prohibit any more commerce in this country. Very, very peculiar. But one of the things I want you to do is watch Overnight's Metaverse Crypto on this channel this weekend. I analyze a little bit more than normally for almost 5 minutes to 10 minutes what's going on with economics, your money, inflation, Federal Reserve, Vladimir Putin. It's important for you to know it because that is where your wallet is going to be impacted, whether you're a senior or retired or on disabilities. Finally, if you have questions or comments about anything you hear in this video, how do I get this check? How do I get that check? Or I have a recommendation, please advocate for that. Send it to me on private message. In the last 24 hours, I got messages about executive order. I got messages about Boost Act. I got messages about how to receive a forced stimulus check by direct deposit or by paper check. All those comments mean that you're laser focused on getting these big sums of money. And with that, I want you part of this incredible family. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Join me next as Home LALATE heats up at 11 a.m. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day across the board, and continue to advocate, continue to think outside the box, and continue to get the big sums of money that are available for you in this incredible recon. Stay informed, stay focused. It's a big, bold, beautiful morning, but it's far from over, and the news is far from over as LA continues, because guess what? The toast is toasting, the butter is butter, and the coffee is brewing. We'll see what unfolds this coming week, but this weekend, the news cycle is far from over. Stay here, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.